Hello, Josie here. Welcome to the Yoga Local podcast. Today, a little bit of tough love is being meted out in true Josie style. And we're talking about getting real about what it is to be on a yoga journey. Often, in my experience, I literally had a conversation with someone at the weekend, and it's just interesting to hear people's perceptions of what yoga is, that it's this soft option and that they would rather be doing something more energetic or that's going to, burn a few more calories or whatever. It's seen as the soft option. And I've talked about this before, and I think marketing has got a real role to play there. But really, yoga is not a soft option. And it's really time to get real about the demands of a yoga journey. It's quite exciting, actually, to think about this. Challenge should be kind of met with a sense of adventure. That's certainly how I approach it. But yeah, yoga as a journey, it requires consistency, it requires commitment, it requires discipline. We're not fanning around the edges here. We're not playing at our lives, right? We want to move into the true promise of yoga, which is leaning into all that we can be, leaning into our sense of purpose, why we're here. When you're doing this deep inner work, it's really confronting. It takes a clear mind, it takes a stable mind, it takes a strong body. And these are all things that we're preparing for as we work through, and specifically here, our moon, sun, fire, hatha yoga progression. So commitment is really our wingman, right, in this whole process. If we're not committed, then, what can we expect to actually achieve, right? You can just apply this to anything that you've ever done in your life. If you're not committed to it, the results are going to be a little bit weak, if anything, and they're certainly not going to be enduring. So commitment should not be a hassle, right? We should be able to take on board that this is something that's going to take time, it's going to take patience, we're going to have to prioritize, we're going to have to really want it, we're going to have to really dig deep into what's important, right? I mean, we're just coming towards the end of the summer period right now, and I see everyone losing their grip on routine, and things getting out of order, and everything's having to be readjusted, and things having to be reorganized to cater for families and children. And even if you don't have children, then you're probably impacted by the fact that maybe you've got to look after someone's child, and the whole routine goes out the window. All those promises, all those commitments that you've made to yourself, maybe at the beginning of the year, they start to fall away over the summer period. And it's really important that we come back to that sense of purpose and that sense of commitment. So it shouldn't be a hassle. Commitment is your all access pass to whatever it is that you want in life, and that's no different to your yoga practice. So you really want that backstage pass, right? It's time to get committed. I think on some level, if we really want something, we know this, right? It's an intuitive feeling that comes forward when you really start to to take stock of what's important, and you want to make a change, and you want to see results. Commitment is your wingman. So commitment first up, then consistency, right? Consistency is your secret sauce, right, to getting the outcomes that you're looking for. No one expects to paint a masterpiece in one session of practice. It takes consistent brush strokes over time. And it's the consistency of coming back to something that will help us to move incrementally, sustainably, in ways that move us forward, evolve us, and don't just keep us looping back into old patterns and old ways of doing. You know, it's so prevalent to me in society that like people are going through the motions, they're in these looping patterns, you know, things go in cycles and we're never really breaking free from those conditioned ways of thinking, doing. Our roles and responsibilities kind of take over, and we forget, you know, we forget who we really are, we forget what's driving us. And like Dharma will tell us that if we ignore our truth, if we ignore what we're here to do, if we don't feed and nurture our soul's desires, then we will suffer, right? We ignore our Dharma at our peril. So we need the commitment and we need the consistency to keep coming back, to remember that we're not our roles, we're not our responsibilities, we're not that job we're doing 9 to 5 or whatever hours that you're doing, right? That's just a means to an end, and there's this bigger, deeper reason for us being here. And our dreams are kind of like navigating us towards that purpose. And like in your practice, we're coming back to remembering what our dreams are, what it is that is fueling us, what is that inner fire that's moving us forward. And can we keep harnessing that fire? Can we keep tending to that fire? Can we keep nourishing that fire? So that we don't get stuck in these ruts and in these loops of just doing the same old, and then someday arriving at some place that we had no intention of being. We've got to keep arresting that tendency for, you know, the life outside of ourself to distract us from our deeper sense of who we are and what we want from our lives. So consistency is that secret sauce, commitment and consistency, right? There are BFFs in getting us to move towards where we want to be, okay? Now, I know I'm going to hear this. I'm going to go, well, I don't have time, you know, my life is busy, there's so many distractions, there's so many responsibilities in life. So let's think about some actionable steps, right? We're always going to come up against walls. Resistance is part of the human condition, right? So we've got to constantly be vigilant when resistance creeps in, and then take some actionable steps to, you know, overcome those hurdles. So, you know, one of those hurdles is time for practice. How do I make time for practice? You know, I can do pretty much everything but do your practice for you. But I can create all the tools. I can be here for you to be your cheerleader. I can create the classes. I can create the retreats. I can create the app. But you have to be the one to practice. You have to be the one to make that happen. And so it's maybe time to take a self-assessment of, you know, what is in the way. Can we take a time audit? What is hogging your time? You know, I can guarantee that if I took your phone from you right now, that I would find so many hours of screen time taken up through scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, or just like dumbing the mind, like, you know, when those pockets of time that we're wasting, right? Because we don't have that connection to our inner fire. We don't have that connection to our soul purpose. And so we fill these pockets of time with mundane activities, with things that are not moving the needle in the direction that we want to go. So, right, have a look, have a little experiment, have a look on your phone, and see how many hours a day that are kind of just spilling into random scrolling, right? And also negative images, negative conversations, right? Those are the things that we need to start to move away. Anything that's a little meh, right? That's not helping you. It's not delivering you to that, those big dreams. And I don't care who you are. We're all creative beings, and some deeper level, everyone has this idea of who they can be and what they could do. And the trouble is that gets dampened down and it gets worn down. Life wears that desire thin, and it's our job through our practices to reignite that flame and keep that flame burning. So do a time audit, start to do that tough love to yourself, be open to seeing just how much time you are wasting, and we have one precious life. And, I'm not saying that I'm perfect and, every moment of my day is aligned with something purposeful, but we can make roads in towards making each moment of our life more productive, and not in a kind of dull way, but to live our dreams kind of way. Like, not to make us better at our jobs, but maybe to make us better at living, better at communicating with our partners, maybe better at parenting, maybe at being more compassionate with other people, maybe having more resilience to face some of the challenges that do come up in life. Like these are gold in our life to be able to do to be able to kind of tap into that potential to just be your most optimum self. But yeah, if time is something that's cropping up in your in your resistance, then find out what's hogging your time, right? And then maybe start to think about what are your priorities, and can you start shuffling those priorities? I'll go into more detail in the blog that comes with this podcast. So please take some time maybe to have a little look at that blog post. It's super important that we start to know where the leaks are, and see if we can start to reorganize so that we can really do the things that we want to be doing. Okay, weed out the rubbish. And then it can get a little overwhelming when we do start to recognize that we've got these big dreams and goals and things that we've set our sights on for a long time, and it's easy then just to backtrack and go, oh, well, it's just too immense, it's too much, I can never do it. All those doubts and fears start getting in the way. And this is when we need to start to break things down into small actionable steps towards, so if you've got a big dream, or you have an idea that maybe you want to at some point, I don't know, go into business for yourself, right? But you're currently stuck in a circle or a cycle of just getting by, right? So it can seem like an impossible mission to ever think about yourself as, becoming self-employed, or following a dream, or writing a book, or there's so many things that we may want to do with our life. So can we start to move towards, lean into those things on an incremental level? So yeah, if you are thinking of, I don't know, my dream was running my own business and starting to pass on this tradition to you guys, and help you guys to find the practice as a way to move into your greatness, right? So that's a massive dream. You know, and I didn't start out with everything figured out at the beginning. It's just kind of plotting a pathway, making those small steps. What can I do in this moment? What can I work towards? What book can I read? What podcast can I listen to? What practice can I tap into? Which apps can I download? What people can I reach out to? Start to make those baby steps towards. And talking of apps, that's one of the reasons why we've created an online community which is completely off social media. It's not like your usual social media. The YogaLocal app is a space for those practitioners who are done with just small classes, who want to go deeper, who recognize that it takes consistency and commitment and a building of knowledge and wisdom over time that's going to lead them towards where they want to be. You know, in this day and age of instant fixes, and which aren't even instant fixes, you know, instant gratification, it's a hard sell to sit here and say, yeah, it's going to take time, but like that's the reality. That's the reality of a yoga journey. It's going to take time, it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take commitment. And like, as I said before, I cannot do the practices for you. I can provide them, and I can package everything up into something that is accessible at any time, any place, anywhere. And that's exactly what the YogaLocal app does. There's on-demand classes in there. You've got your moon practices, sun practices, fire practices, short practices, longer practices, meditation practices, pranayama practices. We explain things like mudra and bandha and kriya, and also it's not just like a bank of information that we just expect you to kind of go in and find your way. We're in there guiding you and helping you to find, well, which practice is it that I should be working on now? There's a community, there's conversation, and it's building and growing all the time. So with every member that's in there, there's more support, and there's more of that rubber in the road. There's more of that accountability that is going to lead you to that consistency, and then build your sense of commitment. And like, we don't have to start by becoming this perfect yogi, right? That's practicing every day, meditating every day, eating Ayurvedically, practicing Ayurvedic lifestyle, right? It's about having this kind of access to all the tools, all the support, all the accountability, and then also having someone to guide you through that pathway, and someone to hold your hand step by step, someone to show you the what next to move you to where you need to be, someone to help you find those like bite-sized chunks of actionable steps, so that you don't get overwhelmed, so that you don't look at the hill that you have to climb and think, well, there's no point, I'm never going to reach those lofty heights. With the right resources, with the right support, with the right sense of accountability, with and this is even more important, with over time that building of your own internal fire. Like, eventually you self-govern, right? It's like having the training wheels until that point where that sense of deep connection to who you are, that deep connection to your own purpose, is what's getting you to show up. It's no longer negotiable, right? this is what's driving you. You're driving you, your own sense of internal fire and your own inner flame, and your own soul calling starts to kick in, right? And then you're flying, But just like anything else, it's a journey, and the reality of that journey is, we need guides along the way, we need support along the way, we need the teachers, and we need the environment. And I honestly believe that my dharma, my purpose, is to do all I can to get as many of you on that path and to help you walk it to the best of my ability. So that's what the studio is here for. That's what the app's here for. That's what me doing this here today is for. So if you're inspired, if you want to start to actually put one foot in front of the other and begin a practice that is purposeful and meaningful and will move you towards where you want to be, this is really the place for you to start that journey. And we've got a link again here on this blog that will take you to all the places that you need to go. And yeah, I can't wait to get to know you better. Some of you, it may be a wake-up call that you've lost, you've lost that connection. You've maybe had it before, but it's kind of dwindled. Well, come back, and let's reignite that flame together. And yeah, let's all just move in towards our most badass kind of lives that we possibly can. So I hope you found this inspiring. Now it's over to you. I'd love to hear your comments. Do you feel like you have a sense of purpose? On a scale of 1 to 10, how deeply connected are you to that? Would you like to be connected to that? Do you recognize that consistency and commitment are important in terms of your level of success? And let me know if there's anything we can do to help you find yoga as a practice that's going to not just be there one class at a time, but it's going to be there for you throughout your life. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.